Hey, I'm Makai the Art Guy, and welcome to my speed draw. I will be competing in this year's Lightbox Expo Off the Screen Film Study Art Challenge. If you've never heard of it, Lightbox is a 3-day expo where artists and industry professionals from all over the world come to network, get professional reviews, and make long-lasting connections. This will be my second year attending, so I thought it would be fun to try out one of the many art challenges they have. For Off the Screen's art challenge, we were asked to recreate a movie still from one of the past few years in our own style with 2 goals in mind, and I chose to recreate this shot from Avatar 3: Fire and Ash. And my goals were to get better at lighting, shading, and special effects. I started this speed draw by using the attack redlining. In all seriousness, redlining is an industry standard technique used to identify the shape language within a character silhouette. If you're a beginner artist, I highly recommend redlining as a practice to see how certain shapes are assembled by other professionals. But do not trace someone else's art and try to pass it off as your own. Next, I move on to sketching over what I just redlined. You can see that some of the lines and shape language that I'm creating are different from what's in the reference image. That's because now I'm making unique changes to fit my own style. Now I'm doing the line art, which usually takes me the longest because this is where I'm making final decisions, but I also just want to start coloring already. Here's a tip. If you feel like you're losing the energy when you go from your sketches to the final ink, try using a different color when you're doing your final line art. This will trick your brain into being more loose by thinking that you're still in the sketching phase. And because you're drawing digitally, you can always adjust the colors later. By the way, I got this tip from Julia in an old Drawfee video. Now I've taken this tip a step further. If you notice, I have a set of colors on the side that I'm using. Because I have an animation background, I separate my liner into different layers so I don't have to worry about overlapping lines. I also made each color the other's inverse, so when I press Command or Control-I, depending on what kind of computer you're using, I can easily invert the layer without having to color pick from my own palette too often. Now that that's over, let's do the flat colors. Oh, they're already done? Alright. On top of the flat colors, I'm gonna make a skin pass with an overlay layer. With this, I'll be creating depth because your skin is not all one color. This skin pass shows where you naturally have more blood flow, shadows, and highlights. You might start seeing images flashing on the screen. This is because I'm photo bashing. I know that sounds like a hate crime, but it's actually another professional art technique used by a lot of concept artists. Photo bashing is when you integrate different images into your piece by blending and painting over them. This will give your art a more textured and realistic feel and is way easier than trying to paint every single pixel. Now it's time for my first challenge goal! Lighting and shading. For the lighting and shading, I made a layer with one color above my other color layers to make it easier to see the shapes I was creating in order to make it have more dimension. You'll see this layer flashing on and off because I'm constantly checking how the shadows are interacting with the colors. For the art challenge, I made the lighting and shading my goal because creating a balance between hard and soft shadows can be really tricky in digital art, and this seemed like the perfect chance for me to practice. My next challenge goal was to make the fire. I didn't really think this was going to be difficult because I'm not a caveman and know how to use a lighter like the evolved Gen Z I am. Really, I'm not used to drawing fire, but it actually ended up being easier than I thought. It was mainly focusing on the shapes and adjusting the blending modes of the overlapping colors. I think what really sold it was the sparks. And then, Clip Studio Paint crashed, so I had to finish drawing in another file! Now you may be wondering, why did Clip Studio crash, Makai the Art Guy? And to that I would say, 1, why do you have a British accent all of a sudden? And 2, I know why Clip Studio crashed. And that, my dear children, is because I have a problem with using a lot of layers. And I mean a lot of layers. I think the most layers I've used in one piece was somewhere in the 300s. But I don't have a problem. I can quit anytime I want. Luckily, the only thing left to finish on this piece was the background, which admittedly is not my strong suit, so having another file to work in was actually kind of helpful. I basically just repeated the same steps as the character art and bada bing bada boom, you got yourself a background. Now that we're coming to the end, let's talk about why I chose this still. I chose this scene of Orang because of the images we were given, I had the most connection with Avatar 3. My family has a tradition of going to the movies on Christmas because we're quirky. And last year we saw Avatar 3, which also happens to be one of my mom's favorite franchises. Hi Mom! So I was really excited to show her this piece. Maybe I'll even get a print made for her. And with that, we're at the end of our speed draw. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want to help me win this competition so I can get a free 3-day pass to Lightbox this year, make sure you like and share this video or else you're cursed. Okay, bye!